The result wasn't glamorous, but it stuck to your ribs, and possibly to the bowl. Dairy was a year-round staple, but especially critical in winter. Cheese and butter were made during the warmer months and stored for cold season rationing. And not the nice creamy brie sort. Think hard, salty, wheel-shaped pucks of milk-solid survival. Perfect for chewing, trading, or hurling at wolves. They also made skyr, which was sort of a yogurt, sort of a cheese, and definitely a Viking version of you'll eat it and you'll be grateful. High in protein and incredibly sour, it was the culinary equivalent of a slap to the face, invigorating but confusing. Grains were stored in bulk. Barley and rye formed the basis for flatbreads and porridge. Viking bread was dense, dark, and sometimes baked with crushed tree bark to stretch the flour further. Again, not tasty, but if your blood sugar stayed above freezing, it was doing its job. And finally, alcohol. Ale and mead weren't just for feasts. They were caloric, mildly antiseptic, and deeply comforting when your toes had gone numb. Mead especially made you forget that you lived in a smoke-filled shed with livestock and 6 relatives. And if it tasted terrible, even better, no one would steal your leftovers. When winter hit hard, and in Scandinavia it always did, Vikings turned to their most reliable source of heat: other mammals. Bringing animals indoors wasn't considered odd, it was considered efficient. Chickens, pigs, sheep, goats, and even cattle were invited inside Viking longhouses, not for companionship, but for body warmth. Think of it as medieval central heating powered by mooing. The livestock were usually housed in a section of the longhouse called the byre, essentially the garage-meet-stable portion of the structure. A low dividing wall kept animals and humans semi-separated. And by semi-separated, we mean close enough to smell, but not close enough to pet without consequences. On brutally cold nights, boundaries blurred. A family might huddle closer to the byre. Children might nap beside a sheep. If the ox was warm and willing, congratulations. That was your pillow now. Not cosy, but undeniably effective. The logic was simple. Animals generate heat. A cow can put out as much warmth as a small campfire, and doesn't require kindling. In extreme conditions, that warmth could mean the difference between waking up frostbitten and waking up only slightly annoyed by the snoring pig. Of course, the side effects were less charming. You had to deal with the noise, the smell, and the occasional hoof in the wrong place. And yet, Vikings